right, I am back, James. Does this work now?
Doesn't seem to be responding to that unless anyone else has seen that.
There was a flicker of movement and then the image froze again.
Interesting.
When I initially joined the call, it worked, and then we're just in a frozen image.
All right, let me try to change my camera. Maybe it's my webcam here. Preferences. Because I had some meetings in Hangouts yesterday with my camera as well. Video. Is it better now or still the same? Oh, wait. Now?
Yes, that's it.
Now that works.
It was my camera. I apologize, lovely people.
Okay.
I will try to fix it. So, James, should we go ahead?
Yep, whenever you're ready.
Cool. Welcome, lovely people. Welcome to this week's Reps Call. We had a small hiccup with my cameras today, but James and I fixed it, so we are all good. I'm gonna say hello to the lovely people that I see in the Zoom room. Hello to Paul, Tim, James, Fernando, Francesca, Chris, Prathamesh, Jason, Liv, Vishal, Leia, Venkat, Wim, Lourdes, and Andy. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm gonna check if I missed anyone. Oh, Cairo is also watching us from Ermo, and David is also on the Etherpad. Welcome, welcome. Today we had a special guest, Chris Mills from the Mozilla Development Network, also called MDN. It's also always a little often confused with MDM, but no, two different things. Have joined us to talk about what they are doing in the MDN WebDocs community and the changes they are starting to bring. So welcome, Chris. The floor is yours. And then we will give some time to people to ask questions.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Konstantina. So I've come to join you today to talk a little bit about new opportunities that we've got going in the MDN WebDocs community. So just recently, there was a bit of a change at Mozilla, and we had to say goodbye to a few of our writers. But we have kind of got ourselves moving again with a new editorial strategy and a new strategy for community participation. So I've included a couple of links in the Etherpad so that folks can find the things I'm going to talk about. So first of all, I worked with Konstantina and a few other people at Mozilla to redesign the contribute pages on MDN, because I don't know if you can remember what they used to look like, Konstantina, but originally our contribute pages were more of a kind of a kitchen sink of everything you could possibly ever need to know about MDN and how to do everything on it, which isn't really helpful when you're a contributor attempting to find simple things that you can do to help out on the project. So we've changed it to provide a much easier kind of setup explaining the sort of the few simple atomic tasks that we most want people's help with. And we're concentrating on things that are easily done over GitHub mainly. So basically we have a sprints repo which is the place where people submit content errors, content bugs, things that they have seen that they would like to be changed on MDN. And so one of the major tasks where we'd love you community folks to help out with is going on that particular page, sub-page on the contribute section, finding out how to help fix some of those bugs and going ahead and fixing those. It's been pretty good so far. We've already had quite a few people sign up, so I think our new kind of community approach is working. But yeah, the idea being that you just go to the sprints repo, which I will find as I'm talking, find yourself an issue to work on, and we will assign you to that, and you can start helping us out with things. It's not the case that you need to have absolutely excellent knowledge necessarily, really detailed knowledge of web standards and web platform. There are a few things that will require knowledge of that, but it would be quite nice. Yeah, there's things that you can do at different skill levels of what I'm trying to say, from detailed fixes to API documentation to typo fixes. There's lots of different things you can do. And we would be very grateful if you came and helped us out with some of that stuff. There, I've put the issues, the sprint issues URL in the Etherpad as well. The second thing that we're hoping to get people contributing to is, in the immediacy, is helping out beginners that come to ask questions in our discourse forums. So we have a fairly successful learning area on MDN now. So the Learn Web Development pages get about 1.5 million people looking at them every month. So about 10% of the total site traffic these days, which is quite cool because this is my thing and I wrote most of the content. So obviously I'm quite happy about this. It's my baby, as it were. But we get lots of people coming and asking for assessment reviews. You know, they've done some of the assessments on the learning area. We have all sorts of assessments sat there for people to take so that they can kind of prove their knowledge of the things that they've been studying. We also have people turning up and just asking general questions about web development. You know, can you help me do this particular thing? So we'd love to cultivate more of an active learning community around MDN. So again, you know, if you feel like you'd like to help people to learn JavaScript, CSS, etc., and you've got the knowledge and you've got the patience, feel free to jump in and help people that have got questions. Another thing that I also wanted to briefly mention, which is kind of related to contribution, is so you may notice in the Etherpad that I've also included a link to a new Hacks post, which went up about an hour ago, discussing both the community participation strategy and that I just mentioned and the new editorial strategy. This is another place to go to read about this stuff and learn more. In that blog post, we also mentioned the fact that we are soon going to be going to an updated MDN platform. So we have an interesting new platform that we're going to be launching called Yari. That's the code name for it. And I'm not going to spend too long talking about this because I appreciate that you've got new things, that you've got other things to cover as well. But the idea is that we're basically going to be moving MDN from a kind of fairly archaic traditional wiki approach, which is the thing we currently have, to more of a Jamstack approach, which would involve all of our content being moved to a GitHub repo. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because there's probably going to be even more scope for community participation on MDN and GitHub when this happens, because whenever somebody makes any kind of change to any MDN content, that will be all done as pull requests in GitHub. So we will definitely want help from people to help review different content changes in GitHub, help us to approve, review and approve pull requests. So I'm mentioning that, so I'm not going to say too much more about that, but we do have a blog post going live probably next week to explain the platform changes in much more depth. So I think that's probably all I want to say about that at the moment. Do we have any questions from anybody to answer?
Questions in the room? You can also write on Etherpad, ask live, or write on chat if you don't want to ask your voice, with your voice. I think it's Francesca who is writing notes. Thank you, Francesca. Just a note, we will all... Sure, go ahead.
Not really a question, but I appreciate you said there's a further article coming out, but I think the idea of running it through GitHub sounds like not only a great idea, but an interesting idea. You'll be able to get involved with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. There's quite a lot of advantages, you know, like one of the main things that's historically been an issue of MDN is that you know, it's a great site that serves wonderful content and lots of people make use of it, but the architecture as it exists is pretty complicated, so it's quite hard to get involved in actually contributing to the platform side of things. But this should result in a much more simplified architecture just overall. Then on the content side, obviously having stuff sat there in GitHub is going to mean you can do a whole bunch of things, like it's going to be much easier for people to just put it in their workflow. It's going to be easier to allow people to edit MDN however they want, kind of thing, by some kind of automated workflows, editing it in their favorite text editor. We do think that some people are going to miss the current WYSIWYG. And we're certainly not saying that we would never have a WYSIWYG back, but it's going to be a much more simplified tool set, I think, as well. And also because it's going to be sat in GitHub, there's going to be much more scope for doing automated mass fixes, which is something we've wanted for quite a long time. And yeah, no, it's there's a lot of advantages to be had, really. So I'm looking forward to seeing how everybody's going to take it. We are doing, I should mention, we are doing a beta launch of this new MDN architecture on November the 2nd. So at that point, we're going to put out a call for participation so that people can come and start helping us to test the new contribution workflow, etc., and give us feedback. Then the actual launch, the initial launch of the new architecture is then going to be December 14th. Cool. Any more questions or comments? Okay, great. Well, feel free to drop me a line if you do have something that pops up. But yeah, thank you for listening, everybody.
Thank you, Chris, for being here. You can find Chris on Matrix. I do believe there is an MDN. Yes, MDN Web Docs. I'm there as well. If you're interested to ask any questions, go to Matrix. Chris is around to ask any questions. We are also probably going to promote this activity by having it also as an activity in the community portal, so you can have events around it and promote a little bit more of MDN. I know that we have quite some folks, the Japanese community especially, doing translations. So now we are gonna expand on content moderation and forums for MDN activities in the community portal. It's not gonna be a different activity than the one that Chris has talked about. We're just gonna also put it in our platform for more visibility to the communities. All right, the next one is that I believe we have a new rep and we're supposed to say hello to new reps.
I don't see her in the room, so maybe she didn't manage to make it, I think.
Maybe she got confused because I think that she was earlier in the room. I got a notification, but doesn't matter. Carla joined the reps program. Welcome, Carla. If you're watching this, we're very happy to have you. Then on the open floor, Mr. Seburo said we have new gifts away, free stuff. And he makes it sound like it's gifts, but it's not, it's gifts. Or GIFs, no matter how you want to call it. I believe the right pronunciation is GIF. So Seburo, do you want to talk about what you just added?
Yeah, as people are aware, there's a new Mozilla marketing brand campaign that's running at the moment, hasn't long been started. And as part of that, there's a new web page for it, but there's also some branded assets that people can use in communications with their community, on social media, however you wish. I've had a chat to marketing team, and there's a link I've put in the Etherpad to an article on Discourse, which has a bit more information in it. But also in the article is a link to a small repo of imagery, of wallpapers, desktops, backgrounds, animations, and a couple of movie files that you can use in your communities and on social media. So please help yourself make use of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. And as usual, Paul warned me on the line. We are actually launching a marketing campaign for volunteers next week, but Paul is faster and he's letting you know the assets. Where are the assets? That's okay. That's the open world. I don't mind. He's building the anticipation. Prathames is wondering if you're near a racing track. Paul, I believe it's your laptop fan that is suffering that we're hearing from time to time in the call. So anyways, there is the Unfuck the Internet campaign running on marketing right now. There is going to be a community ask and campaign in early November. So feel free to use the link that Paul just added. We are also going to add some extra stuff as they come in on early November to help you promote as you wish the news. Next one, Francesca likes to remind you stuff. Please check that your people profile is activated and has all the info necessary. That's from Francesca because she needs to NDA you. If you do not have to access to Mozilla Confidential, please get in touch with me. All details are here. Please activate your profile so we know who you are when we NDA you. You're very nice people. You need to be NDA'd because you're reps. But you need to also log in to people.mozilla in order to activate your profiles and make Francesca lives easier. So don't make her hunt you. Please go and activate your profile. And remember to go to the community portal and to mark that you attended this call. We don't have anything else, so I can open the floor for 8 minutes if anyone wants to add anything, except Paul's background noises. Paul is a little bit of a troll. If you are not watching the chat, he says community portal. What is that? I know, Paul, we mentioned it, so it stacks with people. Any questions out of Paul's background noises? All right, I don't see also anything on Etherpad. I'm gonna also check Matrix in case I lost, and nope, we are all good. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining this reps call. I'll see you all hopefully next week. Do stay safe, be healthy. Europe is experiencing a second wave, and I hope you are all safe where you are right now. That's the important thing. Thank you again, Chris, for joining us. You are welcome to join anytime those community calls.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And
for the rest of the folks, see you all next week.
Bye.
Take care.
See you. Bye.